I have lived with low-grade anxiety my whole life, woke up that way every day, and all day long, it was like sometimes here, but it was always there. So any little thing could really get me.
Like you were a powder keg waiting to
Guess what?
explode type of thing.
It's gone. It's gone. So that's huge.
That's
the investment
massive.
I made in myself, enrolling in Soul Power Sisters, Soul Powered group, is that alone is worth it. One comment that really resonated me during individual coaching was, when you fix yourself, everything around you fixes.
It's so important for other women to hear stories from women so that they understand that this really does happen. Women can really get out of a rut. They can really get out of burnout. They can really get out of a toxic environment, or they can get out of recovering from something that they felt like they had to do. And there's so many women out there who are just suffering and struggling, and they don't know that there's another way to do it. And you'll win in life by having your soul on fire. Welcome to the Soul Powered Revolution, the essential podcast for high-achieving professional women who are done playing small. I'm Coach Mo, ex-CEO, ex-COO, and creator of the Soul Powered Method that has transformed over 2,200 executive women's careers. Each week, we decode the strategies that actually work for women at the leadership level while keeping your soul intact. Because true power isn't about working harder. It's about leading from your soul. If you're ready to stop dimming your light and claim the success you deserve, you're in the right place. New episodes drop weekly. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and join the revolution of women leading from their soul power. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. It's Coach Mo Fall, and I'm here with a wonderful soul-powered woman, Wendy Taylor, and she is a remarkable woman who was hurting a lot before we met or as we were meeting each other. And I want to welcome you as a listener to the Soul Powered Revolution podcast. We are all about, and Wendy is one of our sisters, we are all about changing the world by helping women become soul powered, by helping women understand the power they have within themselves to generate a thriving life and career. And Wendy, before we met, that was not your scene. You were not a thriving human. Correct. For a season of your life. Introduce yourself and let us know what was happening before we met.
Sure. Like Mo said, I'm Wendy Taylor, and I have really enjoyed my career. My resume is very diverse, and I started off in the corporate industry, actually high tech at Lotus Development Corporation, and put myself through my undergraduate degree at Boston University, and then later through my master's degree with 3 children and working. And I was promoted in every place where I worked. I worked my way up, and my passion really drove me. And my passion is around equitable education, equitable access to education and career. That's really what drives me across the board. And so I got this awesome job opportunity. They recruited me I was in corrections, and I spent about 14 years in juvenile justice corrections, and then I moved to adult corrections, and my experience there was pretty devastating. And I actually did go on leave. I tried really hard to lead my team to meet the mission that I believed was the mission that I was hired to accomplish. And that was my personal mission. And most importantly, was in the best interest of the students whom we were serving.
Yeah.
And that's not the reality of how it was panning out. And I did take a leave. And then I left my job without another job. I feel very proud of myself. It was a brave decision to make. And I decided to call it my Reinventing Wendy sabbatical.
What was going on that prompted you to have this brave moment? You had to be going through a fair amount of pain and agony.
So I am focusing on my growth all the time. I consider myself a lifelong educator. And when I really realized I needed to leave immediately and needed to be out. I
Mhm.
knew that I needed to then establish a routine and identify how I was going to grow and change and overcome that trauma. I really did have PTSD, actually diagnosed PTSD
Huh.
from that
Were
experience.
you working too hard? Was your boss and environment too brutal? What was the scenario that you had been
Um,
dealing with? Like
all of the
just
above,
generally.
all of the above.
Okay.
There wasn't much balance. I was working at 4 o'clock in the morning in my bed and,
Yeah.
there for 10 or 11 hours and then continuing to work. So no balance at all. My
Yeah.
family, my children, my siblings, my parents, my husband, my friends were saying, you've got to go.
They hardly were getting even crumbs at this point, I'm sure.
Yes. But I was so determined. I loved my team so much. And I was so determined that we could do this.
Yeah.
And it was a culture.
Yeah.
There was a, a a philosophical difference is how I like to frame it. I don't have any interest in speaking negatively about any
Sure.
individuals. It was just really not the match that was right for me, that was fueling my
Sure.
soul.
Let me ask you this. You're clearly passionate about the work that you do, and I know that from coaching you as well. It's pretty easy to be blinded by your environment and what it's doing to you while you're passionate about what you're doing because you feel like you're going for the higher purpose. Meanwhile, the scenario, the environment is crushing you.
Right.
And it's no, I'm determined. We're doing this higher good. Like at what point did it feel like okay, enough? What was the straw that broke the camel's back to say? What was
So
that?
so it was I didn't understand the lack of support from the highest individuals in the two collaborating organizations. And I had asked the individuals in the facility in which I was working to not speak to my staff negatively and send it all through me.
Mm,
And so I was receiving that times 21. And I finally realized there will be no change. There will be no change.
yeah. Did your husband say to you at some point, Wendy, this isn't your best look? I'm just wondering what was that thing that just
It was actually my mom, but it was
your
what my
mother.
husband said to me was, because I don't talk about work at home. I'm one of those people who, I
I
mean,
don't know how you do that.
unless I'm celebrating, right? Unless
Okay.
I'm saying
All
this
right.
amazing, awesome thing happened, but
Okay.
it's just always been my style.
Okay.
This is really an old fashioned phrase, but I leave my briefcase outside the door.
Okay.
And so my husband said to me one day, maybe we should talk about the way you are when you get home from work, which was quiet, silent. I was nice but just quiet. I
Yeah.
just didn't talk. Sometimes I would lay down on my bed just to be able to engage in dinner and
Yeah.
the
Like
basic.
you really were running on empty.
Yeah, I cracked. And that's really what it boils down to. But I knew it, but I didn't. And then
Right.
I live in New England and my parents live in Florida in the winter. We went down to visit them. And again, I don't really talk about work, but my mom knew something wasn't right, and probably my sister was feeding her all kinds of things about how stressed I was and what a
Yeah.
wreck I was becoming. And she said to me, you've got to leave. You've got to leave no
Mhm.
matter what. Just
Yeah.
leave."
Yeah.
And so then I fell apart and shared a little bit about what I was going through. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
working full time since I was 12 years old. I worked 40 hours a week this
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
I'm a hard worker. I'm a go-getter.
Mhm.
I go after what I want. And she saw that I lost my voice is really what happened. I lost my
Interesting.
voice was really a part of and you know what, Mo? I didn't realize that you actually pulled that out of me, whether you know that or not, in a group coaching session. But so then I came back home. My vacation was over and my mother was calling me every day. Did you leave yet? Did you leave yet? Did you leave yet? And so then my therapist was saying, you really need a break. And
Yeah.
And so it took other people
Yeah.
noticing,
Right.
you
Sure.
know,
Mm-hmm.
the person I had become, or lack
Yeah.
of person
Yeah.
that I had become.
Defense mechanisms are powerful, aren't they?
Yeah,
We rationalize. We don't really know what's going on. It's an incredible thing we humans do to adapt to almost any circumstance that we're put in. So you leave, you jump off the cliff, and Wendy's being brave to say, "I'm getting out of there. I don't have a plan B/plan A, but I'll figure it out." And how did you find me? Do you remember?
I do. And I'm comfortable being vulnerable. I thought I had it all mapped out. I'm going to this and this. And by the second week, I'm going to have this and this all set up. And I joined this class
Yeah.
at the gym and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I spent 3 weeks in bed. I did not expect that. I just really went down. So it was after that window of time. One day I said, okay, that's enough. It's
Mm.
enough. Time to pull yourself
Mm-hmm.
up by the bootstraps.
Yeah.
And so I had started some of my own. I do a lot
Mm-hmm.
of work on myself. So I had started,
Mm-hmm.
I have my resiliency routine in the morning, reading
Mm-hmm.
self-help books.
Mm-hmm.
I had my day full I did all kinds of volunteering and consulting and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And my birthday is September 10th. I turned 58. And I found you on Facebook.
On your
And
birthday,
the day, 2 days later,
2 days later.
September
Okay.
12th. Yep. I was scrolling through, which is not typical of me, which is another area that I'm growing thanks to our program, because I'm not that comfortable with social media. But I happened to be scrolling, your ad popped up, and I submitted the form
Mm-hmm.
and had my clarity. That was September 12th. I had my clarity call September 13th,
Mm-hmm.
and my first day was September 14th.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's wonderful and beautiful. And it's funny, there's like all this thought process on like the algorithm did it, whatever. And from knowing me, that I truly believe in divine intervention. And you're not the first person who has said, I'm not really on social media that much. And all of a sudden, I decided to pick up my phone and there you were.
Yeah.
Um, it's a joke now that I always say within my team, like, people aren't following me, I'm following them. So I was following you, Wendy.
It was meant to be. Totally. And you know what? I some other things that were happening. So I had my belief system was really I felt I did not feel worthy of a job
Yeah.
aligned with my experience, my education, and my passion.
Yes.
And I was applying for
Yeah.
jobs. And I
It's
think
funny. We're like, oh, let me just go for a lower level
yeah,
job and that'll be easier. No one's going to hire you for that. So
right.
it just doesn't work. So you
Mm-hmm.
get into the workshop on September 14th
Mm-hmm.
and you have a success coach. You're
Mm-hmm.
in our group setting. So for those who aren't familiar, we do weekly calls in a group so that everyone can benefit from the coaching that's going on. I don't know if you felt a little awkward in your first call. Sometimes people do, sometimes they don't. But here you are listening to other women talking about the same problem you have.
Exactly.
How did that feel at first for you?
So in preparing for
Please.
today's interview, I read all
Yeah.
my notes. All
Okay.
my
Ooh,
notes
wow.
from all the
Tell me.
my one-to-ones, and all my notes from the groups
Wow.
coaching
Great.
sessions and the borrowed
Mm,
coaching sessions,
nice.
and my journal as well. And I just want to say, I'm proud to say that my gratitudes and brags journal. I have 2 pages left, and I'll be using a new one starting on But
Great.
anyway, so the one-to-one was excellent from the get-go all throughout. The group sessions, I was very nervous, but within minutes, if even, might have been seconds, I felt great. And it's exactly what you said. I'm in a room full of women who maybe would have intimidated me in
Uh-huh.
a work setting, and
Okay.
maybe not them specifically. I might not even know them, but just been in awe of their CEO-ness or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And everybody was feeling the same way. It was so comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to say that reading through my notes, one of my favorite parts of the coaching sessions were those first 15 or 20 minutes where it was typically you, a couple
Mm-hmm.
times another coach would, or Thursdays, Miliana would, you came with a topic that you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to present.
Right.
And when I was writing down some of what I took away from those coaching sessions, it happened in those 15 or 20
Hmm.
minutes
No kidding.
pretty consistently.
Uh-huh.
Really powerful messages that I still carry with me and resonate with me. And I'm very proud of how I have incorporated them into my practice.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like the snippets that aren't found in the course materials that
right.
are like just timely, either gems that I'm reading something, or maybe I coach someone in one of our advanced programs, whatever the inspiration is. I do like to start the calls off with that because it's just a little extra bonus. And I'm glad that you said that, because to me, that's part of the expertise that we bring to the table. Is
Mm-hmm.
there's layers and layers of not just mental learning, but integration. And if you hear something 20 times, it's going to sink in a little bit. If you hear it just once, the brain might go, interesting, boom, out. But some comes in this way, some comes in that way, some comes in this way, in that way. Then you listen to the video online, like all of it starts to seep in, like you're a tea bag in water.
And it's resonating with everybody.
Yes.
So not
Yeah.
only is it resonating with me, but I'm
Yeah.
getting to hear how it's called soul powered, and it feels so great to be resonating. But also when I would be the one speaking and choose to be vulnerable,
Yeah.
and other people would say, thank you so much for saying that,
Right.
because I'm feeling the same way. And now I feel safe to say, this is what I'm
Yes.
going through.
Yeah.
That takes a little time. So that
Yeah.
doesn't happen the
Hmm.
first even 4 weeks. I'd say
Yeah.
that's more into,
Yeah. When you
the,
start to feel a little bit more
yeah, yeah. And then
secure in the whole process.
right. So
Hmm.
super powerful. The celebrations are huge. The little celebrations, the big celebrations.
Hmm.
I do a little celebration when I catch myself being negative.
Good.
If
Good.
I'm driving and I feel it
Switch it.
in my gut, and
Yeah.
we did a lot of work, and I don't have them all of the titles of the various practices that we taught memorized, but there's one practice where you're noticing your emotions on a scale and you
Yep.
feel it in your gut. And if I can catch that within the first two sets, depending on where I am, but if I'm driving or something, I'm like, whoo.
Yeah.
But my boss caught me doing it on a Zoom meeting. She goes, I saw you doing this. I was like, oh no, I forgot I was being silly. Yeah, yeah,
That's good, because then you can
absolutely.
also cross pollinate. An innocent bystander really leaned into the coaching process and just sharing the fact that you took so many notes and you reviewed them, and you're always someone who prepares and gets yourself ready. But you weren't at your best when we first started getting to work together. And again, it's not a criticism. Admittedly, you were burnt out toast you'd throw away.
Oh yeah.
What was some of the first aha moments that just really lit you up? What was some of the early things that really made a difference for you?
Sure. So the 10-10-10 is a non-negotiable. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because I had 2 weeks of vacation over the holidays, and I had a fabulous vacation. First time that I can remember that I did not think about work during vacation. They were closed, and I set my intentions to just be present.
Yeah.
And so I didn't do 10-10-10. I have to say, but you know what? I won't do that again. So I had to do a reset, right?
Yeah.
So when the 2 weeks were over and life
Yeah.
started happening again, I
Yeah.
had to do a reset.
Right.
So I think that message, for me to say 10-10-10 is non-negotiable is great, but now I can really
You really know
attest
it.
to what happens when you take 2 weeks off,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that was the start. So for me, my mom took me to the doctor for the first time when I was 5 years old, and for stomach ache, turns out it was anxiety. I have lived with low grade anxiety my whole life, woke up that way every day, and
Hmm.
all day long, it was like sometimes here, but it was always there. So any little thing could
Yeah.
really get me.
Like you were a powder keg waiting to
Guess what?
explode type of
It's
thing.
gone. It's gone. So that's huge.
That's
The investment I
massive.
made in myself, enrolling in Soul Power Sisters soul powered group, is that alone is worth it. That alone is worth it. Just between the individual coaching, the borrowed coaching, and
Yeah.
watching the borrowed coaching during videos. So you asked me when were my breakthrough moments, and I have 10 written down, notes and notes of them, and the dates that they happened.
Wow.
One
That's special.
comment that really resonated me during individual coaching was, when you fix yourself, everything around you fixes. When that was said to me on September 17th, I was like, okay, but guess what? It's true. It's true.
Don't you wish that every human, every professional woman who's burnt out, I wish she understood when you fix you, the
Yeah,
rest of the world gets fixed.
it,
Like it,
it really is true.
isn't it?
My family, my friends, all the people who are close in my world, they talk about it. They talk about me behind my back. She's so amazing. Can you believe how well she's doing? The holidays, everybody was talking about it. Everybody was talking to me about it. I cannot believe how different you were navigating the chaos of the holidays this year.
Right.
I am so grounded.
Yeah.
I know that I'm worthy. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that I'm worthy. I know
Yeah.
what I have to offer, and I
Yep.
know that I'm powerful and I'm strong, and I believe it.
Yeah.
And I know I have work to do.
Uh-huh.
Another thing
Sure.
that's huge is the message that it's okay to show up imperfectly. So one example of that, and you say you were always prepared. I really had a terrible time with the mock interview sessions that were in front of my soul powered sister peers. So I learned something about myself. I showed up so imperfectly,
Mm-hmm.
but you know what? It's just a lesson learned, and it's just do the work, do the
Yeah.
practice,
Yeah.
videotape yourself in advance, and
Mm-hmm.
be prepared. And they're not judging me.
No.
They're in the same boat.
Yeah.
It was just interesting to me. I did all that work, and then I just couldn't keep it together during those, but I got this job that I love.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So it's not that I'm not capable of it. It's
Right.
just that, so I learned something about myself, and I learned, okay, so, there's, I guess, that feeling like it's okay to show up imperfectly,
Mm-hmm.
and if you make a mistake or you do something that you review it afterwards or during, and you're like, oh, what happened? That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay,
Learn.
right?
Learn.
It's an
Yeah.
opportunity to learn more,
Yeah.
to figure it out, to do a redo.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was that. Creating my soul's mission.
Mm-hmm.
That's a super fun process.
Yeah.
It's a super fun process and requires a lot of reflection.
Yep.
But the breakthrough is sticking to it.
Yeah. And most clients say to us, I've never spent that much time thinking about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the luxury of it, isn't it? Like you have
Yep.
structure, you have an excuse, if you will, and a structure and a worksheet to fill out to have to think about yourself. And, oh, yeah. Ah, like it's just light bulb city.
Yep.
And when you,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was going to say, when you stay connected to that, though, as you said, it's, you got to keep staying connected. Like you keep having to remind yourself who you are because the rest of the world is pulling shit off of you.
Exactly.
Like it's telling you something else.
Exactly. And it's not just to try to get another job. It's every day at work, when I feel frustrated, when I feel, okay, why am I here? And talking to my team that way. So that's another huge takeaway.
Yeah.
And I do like to quote some of the things that you said, but you said something that resonated with me. And I am so proud to say that this is a huge shift in the way that I operate at work. And you said you need a strong frame as a leader, frame control at any given moment as a leader. It's huge. It's under. I have it both under my takeaways and under my victories. Because
What does that mean for you? What does that mean for you at work now?
It means that I'm calm, cool, and collected.
Mm-hmm.
I've got this.
Right.
I've got this. And another thing, and I can't remember where, I tried to find where, I remember the conversation, but I don't know that I wrote it down. But It's different. I'm not even going to try to search my notes. What's another thing that's different is that I'm present. So I would, in the other job and in general, I can be one of those people who is, my staff comes in and I'm just like busy for an unexpected. I don't mean during a scheduled time,
Sure.
but an unexpected, they need me. And there I am like, oh, I got to get this done. I got to get this. And oh, really? No more. No more. I put it down.
Yeah.
I give 100% attention. If I check in, is it urgent this minute?
Right.
And if it is, then the attention is there. If it's not, okay, I need X amount of time. Let's sit down and talk. That is just
I want to make a emphasis on this, because maybe someone who might be listening might not understand all of the underpinnings that because you went through the process. And I know, because I help women through this process. You said earlier that basically being vulnerable and open to the process is a big thing. And that was something that was not, let's call it, normal for you. So first of all, we open ourselves up. The second thing that you mentioned, which again, people listening to this may not know, the 10-10-10 is a daily ritual to help keep your soul in alignment, and includes meditation and journaling. And there's very specific things to do for that. So every day, resetting the soul. And then you said, I no longer have lifelong chronic anxiety, which happens by going through the process of what I just described. But every single day, what you're doing is resetting the nervous system and bringing the soul alive. Reset the nervous system, bring the soul alive. Reset the nervous system, bring the soul alive. Every day doing that, you are claiming a different version of you that is able to be present. The version of you before was not able because she had chronic anxiety and her brain was like almost biologically not possible.
right.
And so no one ever taught you how to deal with that.
No.
And probably maybe partly you just lived with it and you didn't even know that it was something that could be handled.
I've been in all different sorts of therapy and I do love my therapist.
Sure.
It's important to me, and my
it's a
degrees
different
are
thing.
counseling. I believe in that, but but
And so as you got more a sense of self, and that soul energy rises up, and now you're able to really be Wendy.
yeah.
You've claimed who you are with all the things we do with a career. I'm integrating the education I have, the experience, what I know. I don't have to keep hustling about to prove what I know, or to like make sure everyone else knows that I know, or that I'm working hard, or all that stuff. Like, proving yourself gets erased.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge amount of stress.
Huge.
Takes off the plate. And now you're navigating the world in the full sense of who Wendy is. You're connected with your husband again.
Yeah. It's great.
You're no longer coming home and like collapsing on the bed and needing like an hour to
Nope.
collect yourself. And I'm sure that he's feeling like he's gotten regenerated a little bit.
He's meditating too, and journaling. He's doing 10-10-10.
It works. What's the thing that you think your team is now seeing in you, or perhaps saying about you, that maybe wasn't possible before when you were so stressed out, burnt out, and you were doing all of the hustle and struggle?
Yeah. So it's interesting that you asked that, because since I've left, I've gotten lots of communications from my old team about what a fantastic leader I was, and supervisor, and so forth. So some of that, what I notice about not being attentive, they would comment a little, but I don't think what may not have been as glaring to them as it was for me. So now I have a brand new team, and they're telling me they love my model. I'm very empowering. I deliver feedback with grace.
Yeah.
I provide grace. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to have a bad day today. I'm going to go to work and do a bad job.
Right.
And providing feedback, and just really staying really grounded and centered and making the eye contact and
Mhm.
listening.
Yeah.
I guess that's another big piece
Hmm.
is the listening.
Yes.
And oh, tell me what happened yesterday. Maybe it had a meeting that somebody was having a tricky time in, and you know what? Tell me about yesterday and how can I support you? It's just a different, and I'm super in typically as a leader, super organized. I'm clear about the expectation.
Yeah.
I'm just provide grace around if deadlines can't be met or they're not sure what I'm asking for.
Yeah.
I think they are giving me I see the smile. They were scared when I came. That's pretty common anyway. I
Yep.
think within
Yep. New
I think
boss
they
on the,
would, yeah,
yeah.
I think they would say that I'm empowering, I'm encouraging
Hmm.
them to develop their professional skills and providing lots of opportunity for them to be thought partners. We're rolling out a brand new grant, high profile grant, and I'm asking them to be thought partners.
Yeah.
I'm an interrupter, which has happened throughout this. And that's one of the coaches said one time in one of those 15 minutes at the beginning, would you rather be right or successful? And so I think about that and I think about just listen. And so I think that they would say that I'm empowering, that they have clarity, that I'm present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a world of difference. And I really appreciate your openness with sharing your story, because I also know that as women, educated women, professional, passionate about what you're doing, like, it isn't really totally cool to say, I'm screwed up and I need help. Like, even though you're in therapy, let's face it, therapy has become like, okay. But what's
Right.
that next thing of, and it's not a therapist bailiwick to pull you forward in your career and that sort of thing. So it's a different sport, if you will. So
Exactly.
you're getting both aspects of helping you become a better version of Wendy. What are some of the things, just thinking about after you graduated or as you were graduating, were there some things that you said, oh, that's what coaching is? Or, oh, I didn't realize that this is what was going to happen? Were there things that you learned about coaching that were either surprising or different than you might have
Yeah, I
thought?
have quite a bit of experience with coaching, and
Okay.
I've enjoyed every model and remain engaged with my personal life coach, and her model is works really well for me.
Uh-huh.
But what surprised me about the coaching model through with your team is the guidance was so clear and specific. There, there were. I'm a very concrete person, and I felt like I knew what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what to do. I understood what my next step was.
Yeah.
I appreciated the gratitude I have around. I appreciated my individual coach saying, "Accept this job. Don't work without being paid.
Mm.
This here are some so here's some language to help you. Here are some tools that can help you. Here's a book you might read."
Yeah.
And I guess another big takeaway for me is as women, I think we have a tendency to work for free or
Yeah.
also be
Yeah.
underpaid, but also work for free.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I didn't anticipate just the real strong direction that I got, and I appreciated it. It's what worked for me. I really believe that I got where I am and am enjoying this new role so much
Mm-hmm.
because of that direction.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And again, anyone who might be listening may not know, we have a team of 5 coaches, and 2 of us are ex C-suite executives. And we've got a certified resume coach, a certified LinkedIn, and a woman who used to be in the talent HR space who really clears the way with LinkedIn and that sort of thing, and understanding, appreciating how to maximize that. And of course, Coach Miliana, our performance coach, who sort of can help remove any type of barrier and mental or psychological or spiritual block.
Mhm.
And together as a team, as a team, we've been working together like I think 5 years, the whole team. And so the coordinated effort, the ability to be in a group setting and get the borrowed coaching and not feel so alone, and at the same time get your individual need met that week, having your one-on-one coach guide and direct you specifically because she knows the most about what your journey is and what's right for you, not
Mhm.
telling as much as telling, but knowing that what your journey is. And you had different needs than anyone else, specifically following the same format, following the same formula week after week. And then you're in this wonderful job and you're being a different leader, you're being present, you're being able to listen and manage with grace. You're having your family events over the holidays. And I know Thanksgiving was big because I remember you sharing that as a celebration while
Mhm.
you were in the 12 week. You said you're 58. I don't know. You probably have 7 or 8 more years to work. My
Yeah,
guess. Most of
I
us are
mean, maybe even
longer.
12,
Yeah,
12,
exactly.
but
Yeah,
I'm thinking 70.
right. It's not easier to take on or to keep a full-time workload as you get older. It's you got to have some energy about it.
Yep.
It's different than when you're in your 30s and 40s.
Hmm.
Now that your soul is lit up and you're able to enjoy your work and not have it be a 3 million pound weight every day, like how much different is those for the rest of your life? You're going to have your soul lit up. Like how much different does your future look like now?
It just it looks like I have balance, right? I come first.
Mm,
And it looks like there's lots of opportunity out there for me still.
yes.
You know what we really didn't touch on because my biggest takeaway really has to do with my
Oh,
inner peace,
okay.
but we haven't talked much about LinkedIn and resume development and so forth. And I'm still showing up as my imperfect self with LinkedIn and so forth, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Little baby steps. But I'm getting people are reaching out to me.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
constantly hearing from. I
It's awesome.
know that this is the beginning of the next leg of my
Yes.
career, right?
Yes.
I've climbed the ladder several
Yep.
times, and this is the
Yep.
beginning of the next
Yeah.
leg of that journey, but in such a much healthier way,
Totally.
with with confidence,
Yes.
with knowing what my values are, knowing what my skills are.
Yeah.
And another thing that I have to give a shout out to you about is AI. I love AI. I love it. And I'm embracing it.
Yeah.
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 And just this morning, somebody called me from a very prestigious college asking me if I would be interested in a doctorate program. That's I wanted to be in a doctorate program for a long time, and I applied to one and didn't get in, which that was the first time ever that I didn't.
Uh-huh.
I've always gotten whatever
Yeah.
my jobs, and so I was like,
Wow.
well, guess what? It didn't close.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. As when so folks might be listening to this podcast, they might be hearing these types of things, concepts, et cetera, for the first time. You mentioned earlier when you fix you, like the rest of the world gets fixed, so to speak. And one of the things that you just mentioned that I always say is that the brighter you shine, the more magnetizing you become. Like things just come your way that are a match for your vibrational truth. And when you feel awesome, you're like on that bandwidth of awesome. So awesome things come. When you're on the bandwidth of shit, shit comes. And this is a law of the universe. Law of attraction has been a little bit over cliched, but this is what that is. Like where you're hanging out energetically about how you feel about yourself is a
Mhm.
big determinant as to what you not only see, because if you feel shitty, you're going to see shitty stuff. If you feel great, you're going to see great stuff, but how the rest of the vibrational universe is interacting with you. And I just love that last thing that you shared because it was a dream on your heart. And now
Yeah.
it's perhaps a door that's just thrown itself open for you.
I was totally floored. And you said something about when you put out the positive energy, then positive things come, and when you put out the negative energy, then shit comes, right?
Yep.
But the other thing that happens is you notice the positive in everybody else, in
Yes.
every situation, and that's really huge because
Yes.
I can think of times when I've just been so negative and such a
Yeah.
pessimist, and the glass is
Yeah.
half full, and
Yeah.
now I'm like, Even if I have a moment of frustration or anger towards somebody or a situation, I'm
Mm-hmm.
still able to say, all right, it's over, it's the past.
Right.
Or I find myself noticing the positive in others and taking the time to acknowledge it to them, because I really believe in that, right?
Yes.
As much as we were trying to rush around, taking the time to go find his manager and say, I want you to know,
Yeah.
you have this lovely young man working behind your fish counter who
Yeah.
he really knocked himself out for us.
Aw, that's great.
Yeah.
So you're spreading joy and high vibration everywhere you're going. So
Mhm.
you've become an extra light in the world, and you're adding light into the world, which, that's, to me, that's our purpose in life, is to be a light for ourselves and for others. That's why was I born? That's why. It doesn't have to get any more complicated than that.
Right.
Wendy, what would you say to a woman who is right now throwing herself on her couch at the end of the day, exhausted? Now that you know what you know, what would you say to her?
Okay. I have 7 things.
Nice.
Make the investment in yourself
Hmm.
is number one. It's okay to ask for help. Put yourself first. Align your personal and professional life with your soul's mission. It's non negotiable. Ask yourself, what are you going to do about it? And do it. And the last thing is, you've got this.
Yeah.
You've got this.
Yeah. Yeah. What would your husband say to another husband who is like, oh, I don't know, honey, that's a lot of money. I don't know. Can't you just do this yourself? What would your husband say to that couple?
First of all, he would say, Wendy told me she was doing it and she did it. And I think he would say it's invaluable. He is just commenting constantly on how proud he is and how it's changing us.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he would tell his friends and another partner,
Yeah.
go for it. It's life
Yeah.
changing, and it's life changing for her, but it's life changing for you and the rest of your family.
Yeah. Amen to all of that. And you have changed the resonance in your family. Phase one is they're noticing you. Phase two is they're going to start being more curious about what they can do for themselves. And
Yep,
then phase three is that you've normalized coming to light at the soul level. You've normalized that.
I have.
That's family legacy trajectory change by the 10 power.
100%.
Yeah.
But it doesn't end. And I think the
Yes.
important thing
Correct.
to know
Yes.
is that it's ongoing all the time.
Yes.
It doesn't end. You've got to keep up with the work. You've got to make
Mm-hmm.
a commitment to yourself that you're a lifelong educator,
Yeah.
whatever that means for you.
Absolutely. As I tend to make the metaphor, like we brush our teeth and floss our teeth, let's just call it twice a day. But most people don't do anything to light their soul up or to give that hygiene.
Right.
And it gets battered.
Absolutely.
Battered. And as women, we're always trying to make up for the gaps of everyone else. And we get so depleted with the energy going outward. Your story inspires me, Wendy. And as we were coaching together and going on that 12-week journey together, I just loved watching you bloom and blossom every single week, the next layer. It was such a joy and a privilege to have coached you in this part of your season and have you leave behind that depleted version of you and understand, first of all, not your fault, because who told you differently. So now you get to really enjoy this next segment, and you and your husband being so close together and your family really getting the benefit. Thank you so much for sharing your story and the time and your energy. And hopefully there's a woman listening here who will say, that Wendy sounds like me. Maybe I should change my life and not have the external world be sucking the life out of me. Thank you so very much. Folks, Wendy's story is one of over 2,000 who came to us when they were not at their best. And as someone just said who's graduating this week, Wendy, and you'll relate to this, she said, when I started, I was broken.
Yep.
And not broken beyond repair, but broken, couldn't walk forward. And this is what we do. And I'm proud and happy to say that it's because of my journey of doing it for myself that I figured this soul power journey out. mofall.com/talk is where it all starts. It starts with that clarity call. It starts with talking to one of my coaches and laying it out. And if we can help you, we will talk to you about exactly what we just talked about with Wendy today. Thank you again so much, Wendy. Thank you for trusting us on your journey and for sharing your story with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everything that women face in the corporate world, in life actually, can be counterattacked, counteropposed by a woman's powerful internal sense of being. And I call that your soul power. I want to help more women understand their soul power, and I want to create a soul-powered revolution. This is Coach Mo, mofall.com.